Dr. Nadrapi, Dean of the Faculty of Business Administration at RMUTT, Dr. Panarat, esteemed guests, fellow academics, ladies and gentlemen. It is my delight to be invited by the conference organizer to be the keynote speaker at this important academic event, RTBEC 2020, hosted by your university. And in fact, this is not my first RTBEC. Last year I was here as well, and among the audience, I felt that the important event from RMUTT will really contribute to the strength of academic community in business and management. When the organizer contacted me and invited me to deliver a speech on challenges in management, I thought, oh, there's so many other different types of challenges that we need to talk about. But how can we really make sense of this? And I wanted to think a lot about current situations such as the way that we struggle with COVID-19 or political unrest, as well as the situation whereby we face for a long time, and that becomes norms of business, such as financial instability, human resources, conflict. So any of this can be seen as challenges of management. What struck me is the question on what can we see as the role of business education and those who work in this industry upon this kind of challenge. And also as a long-term member of the Academy of Management, we have got social issue management as one of the branches under the AOM umbrella. And we talk a lot about role of management education and business school on modern developed economy. Hence, my talk today will be related to this issue. Well, in the past decade, business schools have begun to address social issues such as inequality, poverty, human rights, and gender issues in their curriculum. Although this is a positive development, the argument for reconfiguring business education programs to address such matters remain undeveloped in most parts of the world, including Thailand, where we are residing. With much of the impetus for such endeavor rooted in calls for social responsibility from actors or agencies such as the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the Global Compact, or from the education, we should talk about the principle for responsible management education. As we are gathering here at this important academic event in Thailand, hundreds of management scholars who are facing challenges in our profession should ponder our roles and contribution in this uncertain time. Similar to all of you attending this conference, I'm in despair by the attack of the coronavirus. Its effect has been quite deep in various dimensions. The future impact of this virus are yet to come, but at this stage, I'm pretty sure that we can predict some extremism. We're talking about extreme space that we will require from each other, extreme information for the sake of safety, and of course, in the near future, we are talking about extreme poverty. The World Bank forecasted last week that in both developed and developing countries, many are at the risk of falling into poverty. Our most pessimistic scenario projecting an additional 160 million people living in poverty by 2030, right? And those who will suffer a lot would be those who live in the Asia Pacific and Africa. It is forecasted that there will be hard hit according for more than half that number. More importantly, consumption and production patterns might fundamentally change, and that automation and digitization would accelerate the economy, which could lead to permanent unemployment for some workers who might be poor and have no background in this modern work. So we will need to prepare for business management education and workforces that will tackle such important global issue. My talk will challenge all of you, particular young scholars who are perhaps now preparing to deliver your paper presentation or listening to it from Facebook Live page. All of you who work in this management education, to think about the way in which we should put our effort on these pivotal issues. Well, let me start with a fundamental question. Why responsible management education is pivotal to all of us? Well, by definition, to me, poverty means something beyond the poor in the sense of finance, but we talk about lack of power, lack of choice, and material resources. The poor, in fact, lack access to resources that is vital to their lives and livelihood, and about market prices for the goods they produce. The poor lack access to knowledge, education, basic services from the government, as well as skill development opportunity need to improve themselves. This is very important that many people, whether they talk about potential opportunity in trade and something else, but they face too many obstacles in life to benefit from the increased trade volume or different other activities. And some of the issues that might be related to this poverty might include inequality, whether it is racial, gender, belief, geographical. That is mean, for example, when you talk about gender inequalities. As a member of the National Equality Commission of Thailand, we realize that women or LGBTIQ people face a range of constraints that limit their ability to participate in trade and economic opportunities, and in return, it leads them to extreme poverty. The rural poor are often isolated from market and lack access to technology like modern seeds and fertilizer that could promote the incomes. In times of economic downturn, such as at current time, workers in the informal sector, talk about services, food and restaurant, or even in sex industry. They might be the first group that face extreme poverty and fall into poverty without any type of social safety net. This is really a great concern for us in business management. It is clear that we need to work together as the social institution. In fact, this ongoing issue really growing and its influence on our work on management education. Faculty and students in business school worldwide are increasingly being sensitized to sustainability and poverty issue. However, they may remain untroubled by the poverty themselves in the past, or by the systematic connection between their work, leisure, and consumption activities and the world's poorest people. Right? So we think we teach sustainable, we teach social issue, business ethic, but most do so without addressing deprivation in any serious or engaged way. This is troubling ethically. To me, it is also intellectually and pedagogically weak because it involves a partial analysis of business in society. We, educators in business and management, need to understand that achievements of economic, social, and environmental sustainability requires rapid improvement in business and resources system. Of course, this lies in the work of business schools. Given the systematic links between business and poverty issues and the role we play in terms of improving the situation, it is pedagogically important for us to encourage our students and staff to confront deprivation in many ways. To me, I've got 4 approaches, which I perhaps need to share with you as food for thought at this conference. Because for some of us, you think talking about this kind of issue might make you sound important, and we know it's important, but the how to change is very important for me. Well, first, to talk about poverty and role of business, I always talk about big corporate and their relationship with poverty in society. Corporate and their relationship with the local organization and people can be an important issue to explore. because this issue can be either good or bad, such as their CSR, their corruption, and the impact of the company with the community, employment policies in the host countries. I realized that when we include this issue into non-traditional poverty-related causes, such as finance, such as OB or human resources, students will be more active in pursuing knowledge directly from corporate under our guidance. And business relationship with poverty can be further explored from the lens of corporates or their management team. Of course, students can be more proactive in this learning exercise. Okay, so talk about this. Second aspect, I get the student from non-management or generic management to talk about the poor as markets. The concept of bottom of pyramid or BOP can be helpful to develop their understanding. The students' understanding of this issue. This kind of topic can be a thought-provoking topic of discussion among them, because it will help them to understand how the poor live their life, consume, and the structure of the market that the poor who may get limited access to money can spend. Students explore such cases can learn a great deal by synthesizing their analysis with wider issues such as racism, education, quality of life, and environmental issues as well. Right. And I always use problem-based learning, case study, or resources from the business school that talk about impact to help them to debate. In fact, the repercussion of COVID-19 pandemic and the poor as the market can be strongly related in these circumstances. Okay. Move to point 3 that I use. I used to refer to the financial lending to the poor, which is beyond microfinance. We talk about financing ventures in poor communities. As management students explore poverty issues, they inevitably encounter microfinance, community bank, or banking, business model development for the poor. And I found that all of these are from fascinating area such as finance, entrepreneurship, innovation, and banking. What will fascinate the student more is the concept of for-profit and not-for-profit, break-even point, and new business model for poor people. The impact of such topics on the poor can also be discussed in order to support business students to understand their potential roles in social development. And the last part is the discussion of entrepreneurship and poverty. And I found this is really truly multidisciplinary. Always when you talk about entrepreneurship as a scheme to promote well-being among people, you used to get students from engineering, science, social science, and business to be in the large-scale classroom and discuss the issue from their perspective. When it comes to this theme, I found that this broad and diverse area of targeted business intervention into social issues deserves conceptual scrutiny, as it provides a pedagogically useful lens through which to examine the relationship between management, finance, and poverty. Okay, so this 4 might be interesting, but I think, again, in this point, I argue that we are facing numerous changes and challenges in management because we are ignorant people. At present, business school marginalize the issue of poverty and responsible management. The focus, of course, such as business ethics, CSR, can be a bit shallow without integrating society, poverty, and social issues into key functions of business, such as courses in finance, accounting, marketing, and human resources. The treatment of this disadvantage in business course in this way, particularly, need to be tackled, as poverty can be seen as an integrated feature of our economic environmental system. We are going to see more poor people during this tough time of COVID-19, and there will be people who need to be empowered by business from various scales and sizes. Last but not least, let me make a conclusion that business school is the main providers of educational services, as well as their association and other stakeholders, not only need to act on their own, but also need to exchange views and ideas, as well as